So I had someone comment on one of my previous pump videos asking for tips on, what was it? Tips on changing compartments while the pump is running. So I figured I'd make a little video talking about, or well, make a video with some tips on, you know, changing compartments while the pump is going. Because the pump that's on my truck, does not, what is it? It continuously pulls in air. So it's like continuously sucking. And some pumps where once it loses fuel or it loses liquid going through it, it just stops. Like the pump is running, but it's not pulling anything. So it makes it a lot easier to take the hose off and switch compartments. My pump, however, even if there's nothing going through it, it's still creating suction. So I'm just gonna kind of, I guess I'll do my best at trying to give some tips on swapping compartments over while the pump is running. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and get everything hooked up, and then we'll go from there. So once your compartment empties out and you're ready to switch over, that pump is continuously sucking, and it's there's still going to be suction on this hose. One thing, there's several options that you can use. You can either slowly disconnect this, as long as there's no fuel up here in the sight glass, or fuel running through. You can disconnect this and kind of hold it underneath the head to catch any drips or anything, and then close the valve. Or what I prefer to do is I close the valve, and as soon as I close that valve, I'm taking off both ears and pulling the hose off. It takes a little bit more work, but there's less chance of you spilling fuel anywhere, as far as any fuel that's running down while you have that valve open whenever you disconnect this fitting here. What I'll do, just for demonstration purposes, when I empty this one out, I will show you I'll show you how I do it, as far as disconnecting this hose with the valve open, and then I close the valve, of course, before I switch over to the next compartment. And then whenever I empty this compartment, I'll show you what I do, or what I prefer to do. And I'll go ahead and kind of talk about it. The method I prefer to use is with my legs. I'll actually clamp together on the hose and pull back on the hose whenever I close that valve, because the pump is going to have this hose suction to this head. And so I would grip here and pull back on the hose with my legs, because you have a lot more leverage with that versus just trying to use your hands to pull the hose off. So that's what I'll do. And while I'm pulling back with my legs, that's whenever I will open up the ears, and it's all like in one motion. You open up the ears and pull back on the hose, and it makes it a lot easier to pull it off the load head. You can see all that fuel still just drizzling in. Well, not really drizzling, but I mean, it was flowing pretty good. That's why I don't like option number one. I prefer option number two. I have one hand on the handle, one hand on the ear. use my legs to pull it off. I have one hand on the handle, one hand on the ear, and I use my legs to pull it off. One reason you want to be careful with using the method that I do, where I close the valve and then pull the hose off, is when you close this valve, there's a seal in here, and if you let a lot of suction build up, when you go to try to open that again to relieve that suction, there's that gasket. It can actually fold the gasket over, and I'll show you. You can well, I don't know if my camera can really pick it up, but there's a gasket right behind this little plunger that it seals this up. That suction can actually have that gasket turn over and come out this way, and it's not easy getting the gasket back around this plunger. I'll say that much. Yeah, I'm not sure how much you can see, if you can see that gasket or not. But anyway, when you close this, that gasket seals back up. When you open it, of course, and it lets the fuel go around it. That gasket can come out if you let too much suction build up. Figure I'll just give you that information as well.